Hi, my name is Francesca Facenda. I'm a speech pathologist at Tech Access of Rhode Island. We thought it'd be a really good idea to put together a quick tutorial on how to make your own object communication symbols at home. This may be really useful right now that we're all at home and we're doing the distance learning, and maybe your son or daughter didn't come home with their communication symbols for whatever reason, or their communication system, you're finding the vocabulary needs some adding. You need some more vocabulary items that that aren't there, and I have a really great way that we can use what we have in the house, so you don't have to leave. There's a lot of great things around the house that you can use to put them together, and I'm going to try to share some of that with you today. First thing I always do is make a list of vocabulary that I'm going to want. Before I start looking for my objects, I want to know what I'm looking for. A good way to do this, if you're not sure where to start, is just take a day and jot down things that occur throughout the day, right? Whether it's something that you're telling your son or daughter or something that they're trying to communicate to you. So I'll usually make a list. I'll consider one side schedule objects, right? The things that we would tell them, like first we're going to go for a walk and then we're going to do some math, right? So I keep those separate, right? Because they're going to be different objects. And for the communication system itself, we want to put anything that, any desire, any request, anything on this side, likes, anything you could think of, you know, and then you start getting creative with how you're going to turn that into a communication object. So now that I've made my list, I start looking around the house for anything I may have that represents those vocabulary items. Like for example, you know, for book, I have a little small book that I'm going to use. For play ball, I have a tiny ball. Something like go to the bathroom, that may be a little bit more difficult to represent. So I would look at what is it around that event that would make sense, right? What would symbolize what it is around that event? So, you know, sometimes I've used wipes as the object. You can feel, you know, wipes are part of the scenario. Or someone who's not toilet trained yet, you know, you can use a diaper. They know that when they go to the bathroom, they're going to change their diaper, and that's part of that event. Also, something like going for a walk. How do you represent that you're going for a walk, right? It's an action. What's part of that? A shoe. We always put our shoes on to go for a walk, so we can use a shoe as our representational object. Sometimes you got to get creative, but at the same time, you know, try to look at your son or daughter and see what are they experiencing at that time during that event, or what's happening that they're feeling, that they're touching, that you can use to tie the meaning of that experience to the object, so when they know what they're asking for. Okay, I have all my objects, and now I want to turn them into actual symbols to use for communication and for scheduling purposes. So ideally, I'll use like a corrugated plastic or a thick laminate, but right now I don't have access to any of those materials. So what I did was I looked around my house for something that could be comparable, something that would be durable, and that I could stick an object to. And what I came up with was Tupperware lids. I thought would be a really good idea. You can glue objects on here. If you have Gorilla Glue, that's really ideal, or a hot glue gun. If not, you can just use some packing tape and stick them on there. It's clear, which is a benefit of the packing tape, and it's pretty durable too. Another idea, if you have any cardboard, say you don't have Tupperware lids or you don't want to use your Tupperware lids, cardboard's really great. Cut up boxes. I just cut up some of the Amazon boxes that I have piling up, and you know, this gives us a little more control, where my Tupperware lids were all different sizes. It's not ideal, right? You don't want, I mean, I tried to find as many of one color and shape for my schedule pictures and another color and shape for my communication symbols, but depending on the size of vocabulary, that isn't ideal all the time. Something else you could do, like I said, was the cardboard. You have a little more control over the shape and size. You can double it up and tape it together to make it thicker. And then you could either lay construction paper on it so you can be in control of the color. So if you want, all your communication symbols one color and all your schedule icons another color, to keep that distinction between what they are and what they're used for, you could do that. You could spray paint them. If you have spray paint lying around, just go out and spray paint some cardboard, cut it up the same size. It's really durable, which is nice. Another thought is to make yourself a first then board for those schedule items. A way something to adhere to. I made one really quickly out of cardboard. Again, going back to the cardboard, and then I taped my icons on. I don't have Velcro at home, so I couldn't Velcro them, but I did tape them on. And what I did was I covered, this is just cardboard, it's a Go-Gurt box that I opened up. I used some of my masking tape, my painter's tape, to make the board in two, and then I just did a first and a then real quick, and I can use my communication symbols, my schedule pictures on here. So first we're gonna do math, and then we're gonna eat. So we're giving our children a little bit of information throughout their day, right? We're letting them know what's gonna be happening, and we're assigning meaning to these symbols, these new objects that we're using. We're increasing their vocabulary at the same time. I have to say, I do really like the packing tape, because you can take things on and off really easily and put them back on. When you're using the cardboard without that, and if you're using tape, it's going to rip the cardboard. It won't last as long. So that was another idea, a quick way to put together your system. One last idea that I had that I did for some of my symbols was I taped magnets to them. So maybe you want to put your schedule on the refrigerator, whether it be a first then one, or whether it be a couple at a time, or you could put your objects on the fridge. Maybe your child goes up to that could be the place where they go for their communication objects, and they stick. I just put a little bit of tapes, and they all stuck to the fridge really nicely. None of my objects are very hard, so that worked out really well. Heavy. They're not really heavy. The last thing I want to talk about is how are you going to organize your objects, symbols that you've just made. You want them to be in a place where they're easily accessible and consistently placed. You want the perception to be for your child or the person using the objects that they can get to them right away. They always know that they're going to be there. They haven't gotten left somewhere and gotten lost throughout the house. I would typically recommend using a bucket to keep your schedule pictures in, anything, or a basket or whatever you may have lying around, and have two of them, one for the schedule pictures and one for the schedule icons and one for the communication icons, to keep that separate too. Or if the bucket isn't ideal because it's hard to find the objects, maybe they pile up on each other, you could do something like have them on the refrigerator with the magnets, so they're easily accessible. Or you can use, again, going back to the cardboard, or if you have a chalkboard or something that you can, again, using the tape, if you don't have Velcro right now, you could tape them on so they can come on and off really easily, and you can just replace the tape when it gets used up. Or Velcro is always ideal if you do have it. Then you can start incorporating felt. You can make a felt board and have them all on the felt board. But if not right now, tape works just fine, and you can still have them laid out and visible and easily accessible at all times. And just remember that this is something that's always evolving. It's never an end-all be-all. Just because you've done this today doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that this is all you're going to ever need. Our vocabularies change all the time, and just remember our individuals who use augmentative and alternative communication, their vocabulary needs change all the time. So it's something to constantly be looking at. Maybe an object just isn't connecting, isn't making sense. Go back to the drawing board, try something else. And I know that son or daughter or whoever you're making these objects for are really going to be appreciative of this. And if you're interested in any more resources, check out our website, techaccessri.org. We're located in Rhode Island. And thank you for listening today. Have a great rest of your day.